Double OT in a preseason game. That should be a crime, man. You probably already saw me tweet about this, but I feel like in the preseason, that is one time where you can let ties be okay. Or maybe you allow one OT and then after that, if it's still going to overtime, you just call it. Don't get me wrong, I like it that it gives the young guys, that third unit, some more run and playing under pressure in a close game situation, but at the end of the day, it's still a meaningless game. It's practice, a scrimmage with an opposing team. Preseason games should not be going into overtime. But regardless, it was a fun game to watch by preseason standards. This was my first time seeing the Bulls live, as I missed the last one live, and the Bulls got their first preseason win against the defending champs. A good, feel-good feeling for a preseason win. The thing about preseason, though, and I've said this before, I said it last year, I believe, as much as we like to say they're nothing games, the guys don't try as hard, it's not going to be the same when it comes to lineups and rotations come regular season. While yes, all this is true, at the same time, there is something to be said about how a team and their offensive scheme is starting to look, what their overall chemistry is looking like on the court, whether the things they talked about on media day and what they've been working on in training camp is actually coming to fruition. All that stuff is important and something you can glean from the preseason, even if it's on a smaller scale, because the starters aren't going to be getting as many minutes together. And what we have seen thus far in these first two preseason games from the Bulls has by and large been positive. These guys are much more active on both ends of the floor, pushing the pace in transition, getting the ball out of their hands, making the extra pass, playing quickly and moving the ball in the half court, getting downhill, attacking the paint, and either scoring it or kicking it out for an open three. Yes, it's preseason, but early returns are showing that this group is buying into the system that they're trying to do. They're playing more for each other, and they're playing with purpose. So I'm not going to sit here and overreact and say the Bulls have figured everything out and all their problems have been solved, and they're going to be back and being at the top of the East. No, far from it. But so far, in just a couple of preseason games, things have looked encouraging from this group. Billy Donovan has tried out some different things, new lineups in terms of who he's been playing in the second unit. They're getting much better looks on offense, taking smarter shots, better on-court decision making. Now it's just a matter of seeing if this will continue going into the regular season. Now, in this game, the starters played a bit more, which we saw last preseason as well. Every preseason game in which we got closer to the regular season, we saw the starters getting more and more minutes to get them fully ready to go for the regular season. And I want to start with Zach Lavine because he had a fairly quiet game against the Milwaukee Bucks. But Zach Lavine, now that we know that he's fully healthy, he's not coming off that knee scope like he did last offseason, dude is locked in and is looking smooth as ever. Didn't shoot the ball well from deep, only 1 for 5, but the way that he was driving to the basket, finishing on reverse layups, doing those mid-air drive pump fakes that he does so well, if he keeps this up, stays focused on winning, dude is going to be nasty this season. Zach ended up finishing the game with 17 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, and 3 steals. Had very active hands on defense, which was nice to see. Didn't get to the foul line, though, which you want to see from Zach. You want the Bulls in general to be getting to the line more often, but at the same time, Zach was just straight up beating his man off the dribble that they didn't have time to foul him. Unlike DeMar, though, he got to the line for 8 free throws in this game, made all of them, of course, and finished with 19 points. He also had 4 steals in the game. Bulls' defense was decent, but this was also a product of the Nuggets being a little sloppy on their end. They had 27 turnovers in total, some of those unforced. Coby White. I mean, we need to see this in the regular season, but it's clear he's taken a big leap from what we saw last season and the year before that. It's clear the game has slowed down for him, much more in control of the ball, much better when it comes to facilitating the overall offense. He wasn't as active on the scoring front tonight, but it was leading the starting unit with his playmaking, which has been such a positive thing to see when you talk about, one, the Bulls needing a point guard that can actually distribute and get the best out of their big three, but also the Bulls have desperately needed their younger guys to step up and take that big leap. Coby and Pat making big strides in their overall development this season is so critical for the Bulls when you know this is more or less the same team from last year. You need big jumps from each of these guys. Didn't see as much of that from Patrick Williams tonight, granted. He's still been more aggressive on the offensive end, but only got up 4 shots, 2 points, and 3 rebounds. Only 19 minutes, but when you consider the level of impact Torrey Craig has had on the court, it's going to be kind of hard to justify why Patrick Williams should have the starting spot at the 4 over Craig. The only thing, and I guess I shouldn't say the only thing, but one of the things I didn't like, or maybe it's just an observation, but the whole playing through Vucevic more thing has been kind of going by the wayside. You saw it a little more in this game than we did against the Bucks, but it's not like you're seeing Vucevic being their primary playmaking and paint option for the Bulls like they talked about in training camp. He had a decent game though, 10 points, 4 rebounds, 4 for 8 from the field, but you're not seeing the ball run through him, which I would like to see experimented on before they start the season. Now is the time to do it to see if it's feasible to utilizing him in that fashion. Jevon Carter looked great and solid out there coming off the bench. His shooting was nice and crisp, was great at moving off of the ball and getting open for a 3. That's what the Bulls need. Guys moving along the perimeter, making the extra pass, and getting better looks. Carter also had 4 assists in his limited minutes playing in that second unit, which was also great to see. Andre Drummond, so funny, I'm sure you all saw in the first quarter when Drummond was literally snagging every offensive rebound, but for the life of him could not put it back up and finish. The man played 14 minutes and ended the game with 13 rebounds, but on 3 for 12 shooting. All shots in and around the restricted area. Just too funny. Elite rebounder that Andre Drummond is, but finisher he is not. Finishes like some random dude playing a pickup game at LA Fitness. Ayo was great tonight. He was incredibly active and impacting so many plays for the Bulls, not only in using his quick first step to drive and finish at the basket, but also skying high and fighting for rebounds, was showing off some of his passing skills as well. That's the other thing, we talk about Pat and Coby, but we also need a big year from Ayo Dosunmu, a bounce back year where he can be relied upon coming off the bench for the Bulls. Alex Caruso tonight showing off some of that range, 4 for 6 from 3, was a plus 11 when on the court. Could you imagine if Alex Caruso becomes a lockdown 3-point shooter? Would take 3 and D to a whole new meaning and be one of the best in the league at it. Oh, by the way, how about that poster from Julian Phillips? That got me out of my seat and almost woke up my kids. I know this dude isn't going to be getting a ton of minutes this season, but if he can keep working on his game, keep developing, be that rim protector, but also an energizer and fighter on the boards, the Bulls could certainly use that and need his size. Anyway, all in all, a good showing from the Bulls, albeit just a preseason game. Watching these games though, man, I just want to get this season started already. I'm really intrigued to see what this team has in store and seeing if they can bounce back from an otherwise disappointing season last year. Let me know what you guys thought of this game. The Bulls are back to playing the Nuggets again, this time in Denver on Sunday. Until then, guys, be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.